On this week's episode, Rick Danger's Remastered for the Amiga 1200 and CD32, along with the amazing Hammer Knight for the 128K Specky, awaits you in our new retro games reviews. The opening of the DOS Vault leads us to the Attack of the Empire, a true DOS game, and we remember a wonderful puzzle game named Contraption Zack. Our hardware review presents the Mega Cartridge, a flash card for the Sega Master System, and finally, our history lesson takes you back to the dark ages of the infamous US video games industry crash of 1983. Another exciting episode begins now. Let us begin with our first new retro review, and this is Rick Danger's Remastered. Of course, most of you out there know of this devilishly hard, but infinitely entertaining puzzle platformer. But this is a new version, completely remade and remastered with a Scorpion engine by Z-Team for the Amiga 1200, CD32 and Amiga Mini. The core gameplay has not been changed, but the visuals and sound has received an extreme makeover, making this the definitive version to own. The graphics are now remade to utilize the AGA chipset, and the animation is superb. The color palette, that has been a bit dry, let's call it, in the original version, has been completely revamped with vibrant colors that fit its area perfectly. The music and sound effects have also been improved, with excellent soundtracks completely in match with the stage you're playing and spot-on special effects. The controls are great, just as before, and you will need a good joystick or gamepad to play this game, because, just as it was in the original version, the game is very unforgiving. It is still based in the same trial and error method as before, but the funny, cartoonish characters, the excellent environmental puzzles, and the wonderful presentation prevents it from becoming stagnant. This version should really be called the definitive version, and it wouldn't be a lie. We will give the graphics a 9.8. The controls get a 9.4. The music and sound effects receive a 9.5. And the gameplay a solid 9.2. For a total of 9.5 and the title of the Game of the Week. An amazing remaster that sets the standards for all the remakes to come. Our next game is by Hicks, and it's called Hammer Knight. It is a game for the ZX Spectrum 128K machines, and it's an amazing action platformer. You, the eponymous Hammer Knight, are sent on a task by your king, who grants you the power of the magic hammer to aid you in your quest. The hammer can be used in two ways, and it's an essential part of the gameplay. You can throw the hammer around to defeat most, but not all, of your enemies. Its second use is to remove obstacles from your way, in order to reach previously inaccessible or unreachable areas. The hammer can also be upgraded in order to provide you with the ability to throw more than one hammer at a time. But beware, you must collect your hammers after throwing them, or else you will lose them. If you lose a life, or your hammer, the king, once you're resurrected, will provide you with a new one. One that you must first retrieve from its magic bouncing sphere first, though. The gameplay is fun and fast, and it needs quick reflexes and fast thinking. The game is presented with very good graphics that are well animated and avoid the color clash problem most of the times. It is accompanied by very good music and sound effects. It's easy to control with a just collision detection system that won't give you any troubles. The graphics are awarded a 9.2. The controls get a 9. With the music and sound effects getting a 9.1. And the gameplay a 9. Bringing the total to a 9.1. Another great game for the beloved Specky. Today we're inspecting the Mega cartridge for the Sega Master System. It's a simple but solid build cartridge with good quality plastic and firmly put together. It has the classic push-in, push-out micro SD card slot that will give you no trouble. It's one of the most economic and simple solutions for our beloved Sega Master System. You simply put it into the cartridge slot with no further bits and bobs to adjust, and you're good to go. It works like any other cartridge, so let's turn our console on and see it in action. When you boot up, you're greeted with the usual menu screen after the Sega logo display. You can move up and down on the lists with the gamepad, and of course for a quicker navigation you can always use left-right to skip a whole page. Let's choose a game now, Cyber Shinobi, and we're greeted with the same options we've seen in other cartridges on this brand. Load, meaning flash, and start, just load, and hex view. We'll go ahead and load and start to be taken to the flashing screen, and the process is significantly faster in this cartridge than the ones we met so far. It erased the previous ROM, flashed the new one, and you're good to go. There has been no problems or incompatibilities in any of our testings. So I think it's safe to say that you shouldn't have any problems too. The games run as intended and with no bugs. Even if this one is, well, not the best game in the library. But it runs smoothly, like I said, and with no problems. Now, let's go back after a reset and try to load a different region game. The Sega Master System logo. And let's go to the American versions. We should go for, let's see, well, let's go with the American version of the classic Alex Kidd. And after the same process, it's ready to go. No problems, no bugs or weird behavior. Now, did you know, on a side note, that Alex Kidd was the original Sega mascot long before Sonic was born? The Alex Kidd games are actually quite fun. I'm just terrible at them. Now, let's go back after a reset once more to see one more function. As we said before, you can have a hex view of any ROM that you're about to start if you need to. But unfortunately, as you can see, there is no edit mode. No permanently edit mode, at least. And that's it. The Mega Cartridge is a simple and cheap solution for the Master System. There are, of course, better solutions with action replay and other functions, but they come with the appropriate cost. So if all you want is to play your backup ROMs and nothing more, this is the way to go. For what it is, and considering the low cost, it's a great little cartridge though. In the end, it all comes down to what you really need. Our DOS Vault today goes way back with a new DOS game by Code Ninja, based on probably the most famous arcade game ever, the Space Invaders. We're here to review Attack of the Empire, a classic shoot-'em-up for the MS-DOS. You fly an X-Wing apparently, and you try to shoot down the formations of the evil Empire ships. Occasionally, some enemy ships will take a dive, shooting towards your spacecraft, in an attempt to blast you out of the sky. It is the classic Invaders formula with a sudden movie franchise twist, and it really works. Some enemy spaceships are more resilient than others, while some have different moving patterns when diving. After some stages, you will even face a boss battle against a huge destroyer that will put your skills to the test. Although there is nothing truly new here, the game is a wonderful homage to those classic shooters of yesteryear, and it's presented with pretty, albeit simple and black and white graphics. The music comes out of the speaker of your PC, so it will bring back memories and an agonizing pain equally. The controls are keyboard only, but they are pretty simple. The graphics receive a 5. The controls a solid 9. The music and sound effects a 4. And the gameplay a well-deserved 9. And this weird mix of rankings brings us to a total of 6.7. It is a game worth playing for the memories alone and should not be judged normally by modern standards. Next in our vault, we are remembering a pretty good puzzler for the MS-DOS named Contraption Zack by Presage Software, published by Mindscape. The game is a very clever puzzle game presented in an isometric view. You control Zack, a handyman who tries to retrieve his lost tools and fix the machinery of Gadget Corporation that hired him. To do so, you must navigate the rooms of the factory and use the stepping platforms in order to open a path towards your tools and the exit. The paths are initially blocked by spikes and closed doors. There are even catapult floors that will launch you in another part of the room. That could be helpful or make you start all over again, if you're not careful. The game is smart and requires good thinking of its layout before you begin your wandering around the room. You can always restart the room if you find yourself in an unsolvable situation. The graphics are really good, with good VGA colors and a great animation. The music and sound effects are equally good, with some funny and entertaining noises. The controls are using the keyboard, but they are extremely easy to get used to. We will give the graphics a 9.1. The controls get an 8.9. The music and sound effects a 9.2. And the gameplay a 9.4 for a total of 9.1. A lesser known true puzzle gem of the MS-DOS library. You should try it out. For all of our viewers from the US, the phrase video games industry crash of '83 brings a chill down their spine. But for many of us in Europe, it is a footnote in the history of video and computer games, or even completely unknown. Back in the late 70s to early 80s, Nolan Bushnell, stepping on the foundation of Ralph Bayer's invention of video game consoles, kick-started the video games industry with Atari. Atari became synonymous with the video games and the absolute ruler of the industry it created. Atari had introduced the Atari VCS or Atari 2600 VCS back in 1977, designed by some of the legends of the era, such as Jay Miner and Al Alcorn. By early 1981, the 2600 was the absolute ruler of the market. Soon though, the competition appeared. Mattel introduced the Intellivision, an advanced console that had a series of interesting peripherals, better graphics, and even the promise of an upgrade to fully functional computer. Meanwhile, Coleco introduced the ColecoVision, a far more powerful console with greatly advanced graphics and sound, and even the capability to play Atari 2600 cartridges. And then there was the little miracle called Vectrex. All these tightened the competition for Atari, and with Nolan Bushnell out of the company in early '79, Atari, now ruled by Warner Bros. And an irrelative to the industry CEO named Ray Kassar, completely changed its tactics and working ethos. Ray Kassar repeatedly refused to acknowledge the work done by the programmers of the video games and give them credit as requested, leading to a significant number of them quitting Atari and forming the first independent software company, Activision, leaving Atari with few and totally inexperienced game programmers. Also, Atari's tactic in order to maintain market control shifted into flooding the market with as many games possible for the platform in order to boast about the biggest library of all the consoles. Of course, such a move made impossible to keep quality under control, resulting in a huge amount of shovelware and even some inappropriate or even downright insulting titles to be released. The failed launch of the Atari 5200 did not help. For most people though, the end came when a sudden video game came out at Christmas of '82. E.T., the video game adaptation of the famous Spielberg movie. Atari requested from our poor Howard Scott Warshaw to have the game ready in a period of 5 weeks in order to have it ready for Christmas. With an amount of $20 million gone to the rights to the movie, there was little budget or time left for a decent game. The end result was what many consider the worst video game in history, and also the straw that broke the camel's back. Atari had ordered approximately 10 million cartridges manufactured, but as the game went to sale, the unbelievably terrible gameplay made people return almost all of the cartridges, resulting in Atari burying the stock in a landfill in New Mexico, along, as it turned out, with the industry. People reacted badly, and with the US market saturated with all kinds of trashy titles for over a year now, they stopped buying video games altogether. Within a matter of weeks, the whole industry went down a black hole, with hundreds of thousands of people losing their jobs and a drop of profits for the industry from $3.2 billion to $100 million. The market was also stigmatized in the financial circles as a failed fad, and it would take as long as 2 years and the coming of Nintendo to rejuvenate and rebirth the market. Nolan's company was now in assets, and parts of it sold to his once greatest competitor, Jack Tramiel, former CEO of Commodore. But Nolan was already concerned with his next endeavor, Chuck E. Cheese. But this is a story for another time.